Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmick here, and welcome back to another Mythic Plus guide for pathing, mobs, skips, and all that kind of stuff. Today we are in King's Rest, and I am going to give you my walkthrough for King's Rest. It's arguably one of the harder dungeons that we've had to face in BFA, and with it I think comes a lot of fear in regards to running it. So start off, you're going to put the key in, you're going to run all the way down here, the doors are going to open, and around the corner you're going to have these minions of Zul. Now there's 7 of them sitting there at the start. If you have a rogue, generally the idea is to shroud past these 2 animated guardians that we're coming up to now, and go straight into the first boss room. If you don't have a rogue, then you're going to have to fight your way there, obviously. Now, if you have a priest, you can master spell on those ads. If you have demon hunters, they can purge one of the absorption shields off. If you have shamans, get them to spam purge as well. The minions of Zul, they have an absorption shield around them. When the shell's removed, they die. If you don't have this ability, you are going to have to kill them. Warriors can charge in with Berserkyd Rage and do some damage. DKs can also AMS it to avoid a fear. But basically, you won't want to get hit by them. So pull them back around the corner and kill them. And then you're going to move up to these 2 animated guardians. The animated guardians will turn in a random direction and do a suppression slam. Make sure you're not standing in the suppression slam. Then we are going to run up to this gong at the end of the room here. We're going to hit the gong ASAP, and we're going to spawn the trash. Now, there's going to be 4 trash mobs that spawn in this little area, and the general strat here normally, even on Fort and Tyran weeks, is to double pull the left and the right side. So you're going to get 2 of these warriors, 1 of the champions and 1 of the witch doctors. Now the big thing here is the witch doctor is going to cast a shadow bolt volley. This needs to be interrupted. The 2 warriors are going to be doing these gust slashes. It puts a dot on you, it knocks you back, it's a pain in the ass. Try and dodge the tornadoes that come out of them. And the champion is going to enrage after about 30 seconds of combat. The champion will enrage. I think it's actually triggered at like maybe 50% HP. You can soothe this off if you have a druid or a hunter in your group. But the big thing is, it fucking hurts. Does a shit ton of damage, and you need to be careful of it. The witch doctor is going to continue to do these bolts. The deathly chills, they don't really matter as much. The big issue is that shadow bolt volley, and you need to make sure you kick it. Now on fort weeks, generally you would double pull that and hero. You can elect to do it on a Tyran week as well. However, obviously on tyrannical weeks, the first boss generally is a larger pain in the ass, and you'd be wanting to save hero there. But on fort weeks, generally you'd be heroing, double pull that and hero, or you could save your hero for the top left pack. Do whatever you're comfortable with. Of course, you do not have to double pull that as well. You can see I ended up absolutely eating shit from that champion. This is a tyrannical week. They just hit really fucking hard. So we didn't wipe, which was good. And we're just going to now pull through from this side, because once you finish those 2 packs, you're coming in to do this side. So that we have 1 warrior left, so I'm just going to run through with these. It was really unnecessary to waste a speed pot there. I realistically could have just dropped D&D and run my way through. You can see this was Raging Week, and we actually had no Boomy or Resto Druid whatsoever, which obviously makes these weeks a hell of a lot easier. And also, probably you want to factor in some of your pulls with these. In all honesty, probably doing a double pull on Raging Week with no hunter or no druid probably wasn't like the world's smartest idea, because obviously the champion hits really hard anyway, and then when you add into the mix every other mob that's enraged, probably wasn't a great idea. So this is the top left pack. This is the last pack. This would be the other one that you would hero on fort weeks, as I was talking about. This one's made up of a warrior, witch doctor, champion, and another warrior again. On teaming weeks, I think you actually get 2 big guys on the teaming weeks. Basically, probably in some ways, my advice for teaming weeks is to just find another dungeon. But yeah, you always want to plan stuff around here. And if it's like a fort teaming week, I would definitely be heroing on this pull up the top left here. So again, big focus here, not getting hit by the gust slashes, the tornadoes, making sure we have an interrupt for the shadow bolt volley. And running away from that champion as soon as he hits enrage. Which, remember, he has an auto enrage as well. So if you're going to stand there and face tank that, you're really going to need a CD, because you can see here he's enraged and he's got his own as well. So he's actually double dipping on that bullshit as it is, and we have no way to soothe it off. So once they're dead, we're going to wait for the first boss to spawn. Now the first boss had a few changes in 8.1. The add health, the globule health that spawns from him, has 75% reduced health now, so it's actually really easy to kill. The biggest issue is still the damage from gold spit though. So what you're going to do as the tank is you're going to start off tanking the boss exactly where we are right now. What's going to happen is he is going to do this ability called Spit Gold, which puts a dot on a player. Now you can see we've got Spit Gold out now. It does ticking dot damage. I think it's over 9 seconds, 8 or 9 seconds. It does a shitload of damage. And then what happens is at the expiration of that dot, it will leave a pool of molten gold on the ground. And what you want to do is you want to drop those molten gold pools away from the boss. The boss is going to do this ability called Luca's Call, which is going to spawn adds from your gold puddles. So you want your gold puddles to be as far away from the boss as possible to an extent. So when the ads spawn, you can just either kill them or kite them, slow them so they don't reach the boss. If the animated gold ads reach the boss, they put an absorption shield around him, which is obviously bad. You as the tank here need to make sure that you are kiting the boss away from those globs. The globules, the reanimated golds, they can't reach the boss. Now the boss is going to do a tail thrash. Make sure you're rolling your active mitigation for that. He's also going to do this serpent gust. It's basically a large circle that goes around him that deals damage and knocks you back if you are standing in the circle. Run out of the circle. It's worth noting for rogues as well, if you get the debuff, the Spit Gold on you, and you use Cloak of Shadows, it will not just drop the debuff, but it will drop the molten gold wherever you use your Cloak of Shadows as well. Just be aware of that. When the debuff does expire for you DPS guys, you will take ticking damage straight away from where the molten gold drops. So make sure you're kind of moving when that drops so you can get out of the way. Now, generally speaking with this, if you've got a Resto Druid, you can just mass entangle the animated golds over and over and over. You never have to touch them, and you can pretty much just stand in point as long as you're dropping the molten gold puddles out and your druids onto the mass entangle. The other option is that you can just continue to slow Ring of Peace and punt the animated golds back so they never reach the boss. You can see we're not really switching to them at all. Just use your slows and continue to kite the boss away. Or you can switch to them and kill them now. It's definitely not the most effective way, and it's not the quickest way to do things. However, with the 75% reduction in health they got, they die quite easily now. So you can see we're going to get this first boss down right now, and then we're off to pretty much the worst room in this dungeon. It is pretty much has a giant welcome to hell sign up above it. It's the mini boss room, guys. So this mini boss room here is absolutely fucking awful. So there's 4 mini boss packs in here. There's King Atal, there's Queen Patala, there's King Raui Baba, and there's King Mabara, and whoever the fuck else is in that one, and King Ra'a. So we've started off on, who have we got? We've got Queen Wasai and King Ting Tang Walla Walla Bing Bang here. So King Tamaji, he's going to do a Blade Storm. What you need to do is when the Blade Storm goes off is run the fuck away. Now you can grip it. It doesn't interrupt the cast, but it will displace him obviously. You can also set up a Ring of Peace to knock him back into the wall and lock him in for a bit or get him away from people. Queen Wasai is going to just pretty much stand there and cast Shadow Bolts unless you interrupt her, and then she's going to run around and then stop and cast Shadow Bolts. Big thing again, guys, is to run away in this room. Now, this was, again, a necrotic. If you come in here with a necrotic, really try and bring a balance to it as well. The Soothe and Treants is just ridiculously valuable in this dungeon. But otherwise, you just need to make sure that you're interrupting the Shadow Bolts where you can and running away from Brostorm on that one. Next one we're doing is Queen Patala and her Hunting Raptor. The Raptor's going to cast Hunting Leap. You can grip that off the cast. Otherwise, just make sure that you are not standing in front of it.
Queen Patala is just going to shoot these arrows. She is going to deal an absolute arse ton of damage as well, and going to drop these purple patches on the floor from her dark arrows that she shoot when they expire. Now, you really need to be careful of these, as they will slow you when you are inside them, and all kinds of shit can go wrong. So you really want to try and nuke her down ASAP before you worry about trying to kill the raptor, if that's where you're focusing your DPS. Next up here, we've got King Rui, Guard Captain Atu, and Central Mabara. Mabara casts a heal. You need to make sure that you interrupt that. Guard Captain Atu wants to be the focus that you're getting down. He does this axe barrage, does a lot of damage. You want to kill him ASAP. King does a chain lightning. Now, what you want to do with the chain lightning is, as soon as the cast actually starts, let the cast get all the way up to going off to where the channel's going to commence, then grip it off. Now you can see the chain lightning, it started, then I'm going to grip it. What that does is it actually interrupts it. If you decide to grip him off that cast, or Ring of Peace him off that cast, or Typhoon him off that cast, before it has actually gone off, he will just recast it. So really pay attention to what you're doing with that. And then we're on to the last pack down the bottom here, which on Necrotic Weeks is probably the worst because there's the most mobs. The order of these mini bosses changes each time you start the dungeon as well, so just be aware of that. So in this last pack here, there's a whole bunch of ads. They'll drop pools on the floor. King Akka, what is his name? I can't see, I'm moving too fast. King Akka Maka Maka, he will drop this hidden blade on someone. The hidden blade, what's going to happen there is when it expires, they're going to drop a green pool of shit on the ground and you don't want to stand in it. The little ads that were hitting you, they drop little shadowy swirls on the ground. You don't want to stand in them because they make bad purple swirls. That's pretty much it with this guy though. Again, the big issue on Necrotic Weeks is because there's so many of them, they build up. Otherwise, this one isn't really too bad. So once we've done that, we've pretty much defeated the entire dungeon in the world, and now we can run out onto the bridge here. Now, if you had another shroud up here, and you had a rogue in your group, obviously, you could shroud this purification construct. It's a fair waste of time killing this, and you can just make up the percent later. We don't have a rogue, obviously, so we're going to be killing it. The purification construct is pretty simple. It's going to do this purification strike. It leaves a pool on the ground of fire of where it hits you. This next ability is then going to be a beam that goes around in a circle. You just don't want to get hit by the beam. So here comes the purification beam now. We're just going to move around. We're not going to get hit by it. He's then going to do another strike on the ground. I'm going to move it forward. He's going to do another beam. Rinse, repeat. So I'm just going to skip forward in my video and we're going to have killed him. And then we're moving up to the second boss's room here. Now, the big thing, guys, with these embalming fluids is you want to pull them, and you want to pull them quite efficiently. They are not linked to each other, which is really important. So we're going to CC the first non-infested here. I'm then going to pick out the 3 infested mobs, and I am going to pull them all back. So what we're going to do is we're going to take care of the 3 infested mobs first, and then we're going to kill the rest of the non-infested mobs altogether, because remember, as I've said through all of these guides in regards to infested pulling, if you can work out a way to CC either your regular mobs or your infested mobs, and then you can try and pull all your infested mobs together and all your regular mobs together, it just saves you a hell of a lot of time. So we're getting rid of the 3 infested mobs ASAP here. We're going to kill them, we're going to kill our goonies, and then we're going to kill all the remaining embalming fluids at the end. The big thing here is you can see they spew out a bunch of green shit. They put a dot on you, the dot deals damage. It also slows you, which you can get stuck in green stuff with. So just make sure that you are using AMS or something like that if you are running in there as the tank. It definitely helps when you're trying to stay in there and do DPS. But otherwise, guys, just make sure you're not standing in the bad green stuff. So I'm just going to let this come into the room. I'm just trying to actually drop my stacks of necrotic at the moment because we ended up getting this one stray. And now I'm going to grab all the rest of the embalming fluids. Now the problem is here that I don't actually have AMS for another 10 seconds. It's not too bad though. So I'm going to pull all of these together. I'm then going to mass group them up and pretty much everyone is going to go nuts. The obvious huge issue here is how quickly necrotic builds up as well. You can see I'm at like 40 stacks here. So I'm just going to get the hell out of town. Slowing them, staying away. You can see the green swirls on the ground. Everyone's trying to avoid it. If you do have a monk in your group, they can dispel that as well, or they can cleanse that toxin off you.
which is obviously a huge advantage to having a monk in the group for this, or someone that can cleanse that toxin. I think it's a toxin. It's a disease. It looks like a fucking toxin. We're going to kill them. They're going to leave a huge patch of green shit on the ground. Then what we're going to do is we're going to we want to pull these two constructs together, and you want to pull them over to a tomb. Now, it doesn't matter which side you pull them to, but you want to pull them to be basically right next to a tomb. The reason being is they entomb people. They always entomb someone to the closest tomb to them. So all you need to do is have them sitting next to the tomb. As soon as it goes off, you can just spam click the first one as soon as it's gone off, and you'll get them out. So super easy. So we're going to pull these two together. We're going to nuke them down. That's realistically about it, guys. We're going to focus one a little bit harder than the other one just due to necrotic week and raging and having no way to get that off. But that's about it. Nothing special to these. Bring them to a tomb. Click on it when someone gets put in. So I'm going to fast forward. We're going to kill these. And then we are on to the second boss, Makimba. Now, he is fairly straightforward. The biggest thing with Makimba is that you want to watch where you are putting your pools of shit on the ground, your fire patches. So we're going to pull him, and we're going to start, we are going to start, this is the way we do it, we're going to start with him up on the altar here. Now he's going to do this burn corruption, you can see it ticking down there, it's about to go off, and what we're going to do is we're going to try and bait these up onto this platform each time it happens. Now you can either start up on the platform here, or you can start at the back of the room, basically in the middle where we are now, but up the back kind of where, I think that split up the back. No, it's one of the shamans up the back there. You can start up at that wall too. But the point being is that you want to try and bait the fire in a spot where you've got clear access to run to either of the tombs, because he's going to entomb someone and you need to get to that tomb before he reaches a tomb and unleashes ads. Now, if an ad gets out, you absolutely need to switch to that ad, and you need to ensure that you're interrupting their cast. They will start casting immediately when they come out. It deals group-wide damage. It's really bad. You need to interrupt the ad and you need to get it down ASAP if you fail on that front. So you can see another burn corruption. As soon as that cast's going off, we're just making sure we're moving to a position where if fire dumps on us, we're going to be happy. It's random who the fire will be dropped on, so you do want to try and bait it out. He's going to do this drain fluids as well. It's nature damage. It's a ticking cast. Obviously, you can see the channel going off there. That burn went on Dougs. He's placed it up on the altar like a pog champ. How unlike Dougs is that? We've also heroed on this boss as well. So first boss hero, second boss hero, because the mini boss room takes so long. Obviously as well, guys, if it's a fort week, you may get much more value generally out of heroing on one of the pulls in the first boss room and then heroing in the mini boss room as well. So just take that for what you need to. Another entombs happened. We've clicked it. So the fire, the up at the altar is now covered in fire. So now we've moved to the back wall so we can try and keep the mid section, like a middle pathway, clear to run over to tombs as we're going for that. So now we're dropping them at the back wall here. That's pretty much it, guys. With the drain fluids as well, it's worth mentioning if you're a night elf, you can just shadow meld and cancel that cast out. So that is worth mentioning. But that's about it. It's pretty straightforward, boss. Just watch where you're dropping the fire and you shouldn't have too many issues. So once he is dead, he's just about to die now, we're going to run out and we're going to run around the corner here. Now, as soon as you run around the corner here, you pretty much trigger the next 3 ads that are going to spawn. What you can do as a Death Knight is you can now, we're back to Blizzard not being, severe cucks. We're back to being able to CC the Berserkers. Now, we had great communication here where I was using Control Undead on the Berserker and Splint paralyzed it. So I actually just controlled my undead that's now paralyzed, that's now not doing anything anymore. The main thing is generally taking that Berserker out of the equation. On some weeks, the 3 of these, one of the Hex Priests is actually going to be infested. They will cast Spectral Bolts and a Hex. You just want to interrupt what you can, especially if they're enraged Hex Bolts. Big thing with these ones, guys, is if one is infested, as a DK, Control Undead it, and then move the ad away. If you control undead and infested mob, it will continue to heal everything around it. But what you can do is you can control the infested, you can move it away so they're not healing, and then you can use that Hexbolt damage to make sure you're getting down the Berserker and the Hex Priest easily. You can then break it and then you can kill it now.
So what we're going to do is we're going to clean those 3 up. I am then going to control the next Berserker in this pack here. We're going to pull the Brute, and we're going to pull, what's the other one? I think it's another Hex Priest, is it? No, it's a Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctors are going to drop Healing Tide totems. When a Healing Tide totem goes down, you need to kill the totem ASAP. It is very important. You don't want these packs to be going longer than they do. The Brute's biggest thing is going to be the ground crush it does. Puts a large circle of bad in the area. You just really want to make sure that you're running away from that. The Witch Doctor, honest to God, doesn't do much else. The biggest thing is just the Healing Tide totems. Make sure you're switching to them and killing them down as soon as they pop. Move out of the ground crush with the Brute. The Brute packs the entire length of the bridge as well, and you want to get it when it's at this, and you don't want to go fighting the Brute on the bridge. Reason being is if you get punted up into the air, if you're trying to run out of that ground, the ground crush, and you run into adds and things like that, it's not a great spot to fight it. So I'm going to release my Berserker here, and we're going to kill the Berserker. The Berserker's bleed is still quite nasty. It did get a nerf, so it's much more manageable now. But the big thing is just managing the Berserkers over this bridge. Every time we've merked a King's Rest key, it's because we've tried to go way too big dick across this bridge. I can tell you the timer in here isn't so bad, provided you just don't do anything stupid. You can literally putt your way across this bridge and you will make the timer versus trying to go big dick and being stupid. Now, the most important thing in this next pack is I am going to control the Beastmaster, and I am going to turn. You can see next to the poison arrow on the pet bar there is an ability. I can't remember what the ability is called. I wrote it down, but I haven't been looking at any of my notes because I've just been talking the talks. What is the ability called? Let me see. I fucking don't know what it's called. It's called Charge Shot or something like that. You want to turn it off because the thing is, it knocks adds back, and if it knocks them back into the pack in front of you, it will pull. Same as if you are too close with your Beastmaster and the Poison Barrage goes off, the Poison Barrage is going to pull as well. The Beastmaster is enormous DPS for us to control, so make sure you are mind controlling. If you have a DK in your group, make sure you are using control undead on the Beastmaster and you are keeping it. Just turn that shot off that's next to the Poison Barrage. I think it's called Charging Shot or Charge Shot or a fucking annoying shot. Just turn it off. Right click on it so it's not auto cast and you're not punting things backwards. So we're going to kill. We ended up CCing the Witch Doctor there. I think it ended up copping a Poison Barrage on it, which is why it broke because it was too close with the Beastmaster. We managed to just keep it separated so it didn't heal a lot. We popped an Earth Alley on it and we're just going to kill these now. So no issues there, no harm, no foul, but just be really aware of that. So I'm going to keep my Beastmaster now for the rest of all these pulls. So coming up into the middle of the bridge, we're going to have this Hex Priest, the Raptor, the Beastmaster. This isn't really a deadly pat. There's not a real huge issue with this one. Just watch the Raptor with its Hunting Leap. Again, remember that you can grip it off its cast there. The Hex Priest is going to be casting Spectral Bolts. They do certainly hurt when they become enraged, so just make sure you're interrupting what you can with those. The Beastmaster, likewise, if you're not controlling it, is going to be shooting poison barrages at you that do a fair bit of damage as well. So with those, you just want to make sure that you're stunning them if you can, displacing them, or just not getting hit with the poison barrage, but it will be aimed at someone that's going to be pretty much unavoidable as it will pan with them as they try and run away. So just don't try and murk your whole group. Next up, we've got this the second last pack at the end of the bridge, Berserker, Witch Doctor, Hex Priest, and Double Headhunter. With this one, if you can CC the Berserker, it's generally advisable just to take it out of the situation. Otherwise, it's going to be the one that you want to murk ASAP. So we're electing to just kill it all at once, and we're going to try and murk the Berserker down as fast as we can. Healing Tide totems are going to be going off. Again, make sure you're killing the totems. Interrupt what you can from the Hex Priest. So again, the real focus in this pack is the Beastmaster. The Beastmaster does so much damage for Blood DKs, guys. It is absolutely ridiculous. From an unholy perspective, you can't Dark Transformation or anything like that when you take one of the adds, so it's probably not as worth it from that perspective. From a Frost DK though, obviously Gucci bananas. Then you've got Double Berserker at the end here. You can CC one of these. I'm not actually sure if they're even linked. If you want to do one at a time because you don't want to deal with the severing blade dot, absolutely go nuts on it. Remember, if you're a dwarf, you're able to racial that off as well, so you can save yourself a lot of heartache from that with that bleed. Otherwise, go nuts, do both at once, just try and manage your bleed. Remember, if you are struggling as the tank, you can run away. The Severing Blade will go on whoever has threat that is the closest within 10 yards. So if you've got double stacks on you as the tank and you don't want to take another one, run away and let your DPS wear one of them. It is also worth noting that Hunter's Pets, Mage, Water Elementals can actually take a stack of that Severing Blade as well if you run away and the pet is closest to it. So then we're on to the third boss, which is the council boss, guys. Now this order changes each week. It changes each week though, not each time you start the dungeon, so you can have some preparation for this one. So first one is going to be Cooler the Butcher. We're going to pull and we're going to start right off in the middle. Now the big, this is probably the most cucking one out of these three that you're going to fight. The Whirling Axes. What you're going to do is you're going to start in this middle part. The Whirling Axes swirls is going to come out. You are going to strafe out. As soon as the axes go off, you are going to strafe straight back in or run straight back in without being hit, and you're going to return to the middle. Then all the axes are going to spin around you. You don't have to think about them any further from that. The big thing is the dot called Severing Blade here, or Severing Axe, that she is going to throw out. It fucking hurts. The damage from that is absolutely insane. So what you need to do as a group is make sure that you are not getting hit by avoidable fucking damage and putting extra pressure on your healer, as they will be having a shit enough time healing the tank and whoever has that Severing Axe dot. So you can see here, every single time we move out for the Whirling Axes, then we move straight back into the middle and they just spin around us and we don't have to bother moving. Whirling Axes again, moving out. They've gone off, moving straight back in. Makes it really easy to deal with. If you have hero up as well, I suggest heroing on this one, as the platform can fill up with spinning axes. It can also be really shit dealing with that dot that lasts forever, the Severing Axe for your healer. So the next boss to come out is Akaali. He will do this barrel through. He will mark someone with a red arrow above their head. At the end of it, he will charge to them. The damage is reduced by everybody else hit by that charge. So the more people that he charges through, the less damage he deals when he gets to the end. Demon Hunters can Blade Dance that, so meaning when it gets to the end of that barrel through cast, they can hit Blade Dance and they can actually not be hit by that. Have a look at me. I am such a spaghetti fucking douche lord. I ran into that axe, but I ran into it twice. So they can actually Blade Dance it. Rogues can evasion it. You can also shadow meld it as a night elf and it will restart the cast, but it does buy you time where the boss is doing absolutely nothing that you can keep DPSing. If you have none of those options, get to the end of the line. If you have the red arrow above your head, everybody else get in between you, let him barrel through, and that's it. The other thing he's going to do is Debilitating Backhand. I got hit by it twice. I end up dodging it, parrying it, or blocking it there. Now the big thing here, I can't block it. The big thing here is that when you get hit with it and it's completely random, generally on a Brewmaster, you will generally dodge it due to elusive brawler stacks each time. But otherwise, if you don't parry, dodge, or block it, you will need to run away when that debuff goes off on you. You are taking 200% increased extra physical damage if that dot gets on you. Just run away from the boss, fairly simple. If you need to, if he's going to catch you, get one of your DPS to get distance, taunt it away, and then just taunt it back as Dougs and I did through that. Then we're on to the third boss in this mini council, which is Zanza the Wise, it's something like that, Xanadu. So what happens here, guys, is as you've defeated the previous two bosses in the council, you still need to deal with their mechanics as they come back. So you can see here we've got swirling axes going off in this phase as well. So you have to deal with the axes same way you would have before. You'll also be dealing with the barrel through as well because we've killed those two bosses. So make sure you're aware of what's going on. This is where this gets complicated. Now, Zanza will actually cast this thing called Poison Barrage. It needs to be interrupted. It absolutely needs to be interrupted. You can see a barrel through's going out through this as well. We're actually just going to shadow meld that barrel through because when it's not actually the boss encounter, it doesn't recast it, it cancels that. So that's a cool little tip for Night Elves. Zanza or Zanzi or whatever her name is going to cast 4 totems as well. Make sure that you are always interrupting the Poison Nova. Don't worry too much about the lightning bolts that are in between them. Interrupt them if you can, but always have an interrupt for Poison Nova. She's going to spawn 4 totems. You always need to kill the explosive totem ASAP. 100% kill the fucking explosive totem ASAP. You're then going to kill the thundering totem next, because the thundering totem will interrupt any casters in your group. You're then going to kill the torrent totem, unless you're just good at not standing in swirly things. Then you're going to kill the earth wall totem that has a shield around the boss. Another big thing with the earth wall totem is you can continue to purge it off, but just make sure that you kill the explosive totem first, then the thundering totem, then the torrent totem, then the earth wall totem. Or you can kill the earth wall totem and then the totem torrent. The torrent totem. Just make sure that you kill the explosive one first, as if a tick goes off, it will most likely wipe your group, Nelly. So then we're on to the second last bit, and arguably one of the worst parts in this dungeon as well, the Shadow of Zul. Now, the Shadow of Zul, guys, does a shitload of damage via Shadow Barrage. Big things worth noting here, as a Brewmaster, you can just step off to the side and you can take these Shadow Barrages with Zen Med. You can soak 5 to 6 of these casts with Zen Meditation, meaning you are taking basically no damage. On fortified weeks, I would always recommend heroing on the Shadow of Zul. It deals so much damage. I would always save heroism for Zul versus the last boss. Make sure with your Beastmaster, you're always keeping an eye on your time, and you make sure you're recontrolling it. Zul is going to cast this Dark Revelation. You can see it on Dugs there. Puts a large shadowy circle around you. It deals damage to everyone that's within that range. Make sure you run the fuck out for when that blows up. It still does a shitload of damage anyway. You can see it actually ended up killing Dugs there. He'll also do this shadow circle on the ground. Somebody needs to go and stand in that shadow circle that is just pulsing out fucking damage there on the stairs. Realistically, I should have fucking gone and stood in the goddamn shadow circle to stop everyone from taking damage, because you just need someone to go stand in it. Put my hand up. That's probably my bad. It's fucking, this is a tell-all session with D-Mech. So then we're on to the last boss, which is King Dazar. Now, King Dazar, guys, he is not overly complex. However, he is long and he does a lot of damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by pulling him, and we're going to pull him off over here. I don't know if I feel comfortable saying that. We're going to pull him over. I don't like saying that either. We're going to aggro him, and we're going to bring him over to this position here. Now, there's 3 things you need to be aware of pretty much for this boss. One is he's going to do these Gale Slashes. They make tornadoes, much like the warriors in the first room did. They leave a dot on you if you get hit by them, and they knock you back. You don't want to get hit by Gale Slashes. Non-tank players, you are going to get targeted with a thing called Quaking Leap, which should have been called Quantum Leap, but Ian wouldn't take my idea on board. If you get targeted by Quaking Leap or Quantum Leap or whatever it's called, make sure that you run away from everyone. You can see Dugs has got it here. He's running away. He leaps over to him. We're not taking damage. That's pretty much it. The third ability you need to watch out for, and this is specific to tanks, is Blade Combo. When he does Blade Combo, make sure you have some form of active mitigation up, as it hurts. 80% he is going to summon his raptor friend Ruben. Now, when Ruben comes out, it's really important that you switch to Ruben and just kill Ruben down. The main thing is when the boss hits 60%, he's going to summon another raptor. You don't really want Ruben up when the other raptor is up, as it's just all forms of extra damage taking you don't need to be taking. Ruben will jump around and do a hunting leap. Again, you can Ring of Peace that off. You can also death grip it off its cast as well, but just kill it. Keep it on top of the boss if you can. Cleave it down. Quaking Leaps are going to continue going out for the whole thing. So is the Blade Combo, and so are the Gale Slashes. You can see it just got hit by one then. 60% comes, he's going to summon his mount Tazala. When he summons Tazala, if you have Hero up by now, use it. Otherwise, just wait for Hero to come off CD and then use it again. There's a lot of damage going out in this phase, and it's now coupled up with Deathly Roar. You can AMS Deathly Roar, which I did on the first one, or the second one, sorry, to avoid getting feared. If you have some kind of fear-breaking mechanic, a Tremor Totem, like we've got 2 Shamans in this group, I have AMS. If you're a Prot Warrior or a Fury or an Arms Warrior with Zerka Rage, make sure you are using that just to avoid getting feared into any tornadoes. The big thing as the tank, obviously, is to avoid getting feared and taking hits in the back. So that is pretty much it. Once that Raptor comes out, you want to absolutely murk it down ASAP, because all the damage is split between the two pretty much. Once you get the Raptor down, he gets off his mount. And then we're back to killing King Dazar. I don't really know what to say. Nothing changes once the raptor goes away, guys. However, as this fight goes on, it just seems to get really, really dicey towards the end of it. We're not actually going to have hero, I don't think, for the end of this, but you can see I am just really struggling at the moment with just the amount of damage that this boss does on Tyran. So if you do have any secrets for it in regards to saving heroism or something like that where you're able to do that, you really want to pull every stop out that you've got. At 40%, he's going to channel these spears that go around the room. Now, the spears move in 2 patterns. Really wasn't a great run for me. The spears will either go in a double pattern where they move around, or they'll do this single one where it's filing around clockwise. Now, they can go anti-clockwise, they can go clockwise, just watch which way they're going. Every time I've been in here, though, I think I've seen them go clockwise. You just want to make sure that you sidestep them. I ended up getting hit by one there, so I just popped Icebound Fortitude to get out of the stun, so I wasn't stun taking hits. Just be aware of that. But that's pretty much it, guys. The biggest issue is just making sure that you manage the raptors quickly, that you manage the fears quickly, and there's a hell of a lot of damage going out at the end, so just be aware of that. If you have any questions though, guys, please hit me up in the comments below. That is pretty much it for what I've got for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, come find me on Twitch, come hang out in Discord. Thank you very much for all the support, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you all next time. See you, fam.
The shadows